There was a time when we were starting to see the surveillance society up in our face, and there was denial about it or concern about our concerns. Why are you concerned? If you're not worried about doing something, you shouldn't be concerned about being surveilled. How about the idea of we don't even know what's really surveilling us? That which you can surveil, you can affect. Some can affect. Moments where I could see there's nobody behind me. So we're going for a hike, a place I haven't gone before. But there is something about some of these energy centers, and there is something about some of the interference that I've come across. I've had a lot of time to think about things behind the scenes up on my land. Everybody's different, just like everybody has a unique fingerprint that can uniquely identify them. We have a unique soul signature. How does your unique soul signature and idea shine through? People have become very closed-minded and shallow with regards to being open. People in urban environments seem more concerned with someone being open about their sexuality than being open with their spirituality. I've always sought a community that allowed me to be me for me with regards to my spiritual understandings of what some could call the global conspiracy. And have found my message rejected by the bulk of human society. Many have come and gone. Only a few of you, figuratively, a few hundred of you, on an average, remain for this message. So I'm in a state, folks, of letting go, because we are in a time of shifting. We're going to come back and talk about that in a minute. We are in a time of shifting, and during periods like this, we literally have to let go of the old energy and the old programming and walk into something new. And some things in our life may need to be removed in order for us to experience that. We may need to move ourselves closer to nature in order to be able to listen within. I may be going through things now, and there's no escape from personal stress, desire, things like that, inner issues. But the noise is much louder, especially for people as sensitive as me, in urban environments or places like Portland, Oregon, California, West Coast areas, East Coast areas. So this place is for me for now, as I get my grounding, and if you will, continue to receive the download as far as where I go from here, my body, this lifetime, where I go from here, from this lifetime, that is yet to be determined. Drive in is about an hour and a half, especially as you get closer to this place. So I want to mention right away is I feel like I visited this place in a dream 2 nights ago. Very similar road. This is not the same spot in which you've seen previous videos. This is like a spot like an hour away. Looks like I got to get back on the trail over here. So let's get some of the discussions underway. I want to hit upon gracefully aging after 40. I think it's relevant to a number of different people. Came across some hunters that were well armed that I parked next to. Kind of awkward, but they're hunting in the place where there's a pretty famous hiking trail, so it's a coexistence. Maybe I should be wearing orange. So, I'm trying to naturally find my way here on the path. Okay, so, gracefully aging. And my brain even restructuring a little bit since deactivating my Facebook page, because it's more about my mental health. It's more about my productivity at Ansary.tv and the YouTube channel. There are days and periods in which I've just been on social media and I could have been creating content. I could have been sharing with you my ideas instead of putting it in that box. So this is a time for me of personal evolution, to go beyond the effects of social media and the types of damage that it can cause. As we age, we need to think about those things that we need to eliminate from our life, and those things that we should consider adding. For example, what kind of food should we eliminate? Is there too much caffeine going on? Have we quit smoking yet? Right now I'm celebrating my first 5 months or 6 months without cigarettes, whether you knew that or not. Other things, and I hardly drink alcohol. So it's going to be kind of an involved hike today. Some of the different spots, trying to get my grounding bearings on where I should walk. Then there's some things that we should, add to our diet. It's been a while since I've had green superfood. And I'm thinking about ordering some from eBay when I have a few extra dollars. I want to thank those of you who do support my work. So I'm thinking actually more about ordering things on the internet that are of a healthier nature. Already my quinoa comes from a company that's online. It's like 4 or 5 pounds for like 15 bucks. That's like the best deal you can get. Meat, I'm not a vegan, but I find myself more discontent with supermarket beef, to the point where the other day I didn't finish it. I gave it to the kitten. I enjoy the cats. I enjoy the fact they're on the property, but they are wild. And it is a little bit of a social experiment to see how socialized they can be, because I realize that there's even a psychic connection between myself and the cats. I've thought about the cats, and then they've appeared. I've been in periods where I've been distraught by particular emotions, and the mother cat has appeared. They also respond to other emotions. They're sensitive creatures. That doesn't necessarily make them perfect, because they're sensitive to energies and things of that nature. So as for myself, I know that quitting Facebook is about mental health. I know it's about cultivating myself as a writer. I know it's about going deeper into some of my thoughts that I share here on this channel and so many others. And it's important that we continue doing what we do without falling into these habits of getting instantaneous gratification, i.e. dopamine, through how people respond to it. And so, there's a lot of that we get from YouTube and social media, how people respond to it, how many people watch it, but that doesn't necessarily dictate whether or not it has value. Somebody can have a video, for example, that has 1 million hits. It could be disinformation, and it may not be something that person's going to be, for example, showing to their grandkids. Me, what I've been doing is backing up my channel and looking at those things that I would want to feature in 5 years and 10 years. As I think about, I'm not doing right now, I'm trying to stay away from the computer, but I'm going to restructure the playlist. And it's going to be linked at Ansary.tv. There'll be a menu bar that'll link to my current playlist. Off-grid, things of that nature. There's one now, but it needs to be updated with recent content. So for me, I'm going to finish this thought and then hit pause, continue walking. I'm standing on a rock now. We are in the shift. There's more articles about magnetic reversals of the planet. I talked about the recent sunspot. Spaceweather.com reported that it had a different magnetic polarity, signifying that we're in the new cycle of the sun. And so instead of freaking out when we see these personal changes within our own lives, we can look at where we are on the map. I'm not even deep into astrology, but this last full moon, and myself being a Pisces, being a water sign, after a series of eclipses with the geomagnetic storms As we go into a solar minimum, we also deal with the energies that we do get from the sun. We're already in the next cycle. So we should already be cycling into the next cycle of our lives, right? Not just the next meal we're eating, the person that we're dating. It's like, for myself, and approaching 40 years old, I actually listened to a few lectures, and you got to be careful where you get your advice from. Some of it's just entertaining, but I listened to, maybe I'll leave a link, one lecture. He really seemed to measure success after 40 with how many women he was going to be with or has been with. I don't think that's the most appropriate way to measure personal life success. So I've talked about this in previous videos. What does success mean to you? What does success mean to me? It's obviously different things. We have different life goals, things that we associate with, success. I have mine. And some of them have been there for years, and some of them I'm walking away from and allowing an ego death to take place, regards to a certain aspect of it, or myself being attached to certain things, or, and in some ways, we're being forced to. Some of this stuff is beyond words, so I should save them in between thoughts. I like to see how the water spirals in different directions, not just one. So there's something about the flow of water that's interesting in some of these places more than others. I don't know. You feel lucky? I'm not feeling too ambitious on that level, but yes, here we go. Connecting with that deep body of water, running water, a conduit for grounding, clean water. We come back to this again and again. I mentioned in a previous video, some people are drawn to nature without really respecting nature or that which the Creator creates. They're running from a sickness, and people are repulsed by this truth that I share, but it is the truth. It is the ultimate truth. If people were to address some of their chronic hatred and illnesses that come from that, we wouldn't have the amount of hospitals that we have today standing. This is just coming out of me right now. So many people are sick because of their thoughts and what they're doing to others. So many people have attracted deep negative entity attachments from their very actions within the society. Despite all the paranormal movies, society is socially engineered to ostracize people like myself that talk about the unseen forces. And that is a fact check. It doesn't matter if there are even shows on the air like Clyde Lewis and others in the Art Bell Show. Ultimately, society has a built-in prejudice against that truth and philosophy, yet it's the thing that I'm known most by. It's probably the area in which I've helped people the most. The machine helps to a degree, but ultimately it distracts and gets in the way. That's why I say, you know, when we're on Facebook and some of these social media platforms, I can feel presences all around me. I mean, you're looking at an artificial light with this Facebook thing that I'm describing on these computers. And a certain type of consciousness steps in where their defenses, their spiritual defenses are lowered, and the disincarnate energies come through those portals. So if you're trying to keep your home warm in the winter, you want to open up your doors, do you want to close your doors? You want to close your doors. We talk about protecting ourselves from some of that parasite energy trying to harvest our emotions and our soul essence on social media platforms. You need to know when and where you need to close those portals. You might even have nightmares after you do it because something's angry. And every time I ground out a chunk of that foreign energy out of myself, something will try to backlash to come back if I'm vulnerable. So one of the things that I noticed was an increase in dream invasions after shutting my Facebook page and a decrease after day 2. Right now we would be like in the day 2 phase. So even those that are very grounded spiritually, even if they don't know this about Facebook, or they don't talk about it, they seem to know intuitively. I'm noticing way more people in recent years talk about what Facebook's really about and how that open surveillance is something that leaves us open to energy tampering in some cases. Whereas people that are knowledgeable about protecting their energy and protecting their essence, they're careful with that. And when they do use social media, they use social media in a specific way to project out their truth or message. And they're careful with the level of engagement. See, it's not being antisocial. It's actually being antisocial to have all of your engagements on Facebook. That's actually truly antisocial. It's not social, it's antisocial. It's antisocial behavior to let Facebook replace your relationships. It's antisocial. It's antisocial behavior. I understand the benefits. There's also the sense of people that are elderly in areas that don't have connections with anyone except Facebook. I'm going to recognize some exceptions to the rule if it's helping you. Ultimately, my advice to those older folks or people suffering from disabilities, including mental disturbances that come from loneliness, there are better ways of engaging with people on the internet other than Facebook where you can get that connection, and it might even be better. But if you're going to go the cheap route, it's like going to McDonald's. If you're going to go down Easy Street, if you're going to date just anybody, you're going to get a certain level of quality. You dig? You're going to get a certain level of quality with those connections. So we need to improve the platforms in which we're on, because we truly are identified to a certain degree by being on those platforms. And a lot of people became identified or became to communicate with the Alex Ansary avatar on Facebook, which is an avatar. It is a projection of myself. It's not the real me. The real me that speaks real words, not confine words into a text box that are clearly misunderstood most of the time, not a few of the times, but most of the time. So yeah, there's so many thoughts that I have to share on that. But it is kind of a, well, obviously it's a different frequency when you're in nature, right? So you have a cave here. I can definitely sense the mountain lion presence, not just here but elsewhere. Here we have another cave. So these are caves, and that is one of the things that Colorado is known for. It's caves. So one of the things that attracted me to the San Luis Valley, and I got to find some of their petroglyphs along the Rio Grande River in Costilla County. So that was a beautiful time for me. And there comes a time where I need to explore other elements of nature. I do personally feel a connection with the cat spirit, the tiger in particular, as well as the Black Panther for some reason. And I recognize that not every cat and dog is the same. So I find people to be a little bit awkward when they're like, do you like dogs and cats? As if it's just like that. I don't despise all humans. I don't necessarily despise humans. Most of them, of mass consciousness, not so much. But there's going to be a minority that might be like breaking outside that box. I'm not going to assume that cats and dogs are much different. You know, kind of like, they'll be like that deer or elk, like by itself, not hanging out with the herd. It's like, yeah, I'm different. Got somebody, looks like a piss bottle or something. See, that's the thing, like there are some people that come, they like drive hours and hours to see nature, and they don't really respect it, or those forms of life that were born in this world that came from the creator. Some of them don't even believe in a creator, yet they're like, oh, water, drink. That's what I'm saying, do you understand? There are some people that act like they're almost soulless, that are part of the wealth class in some cases, or are a part of those that are like walking around like as biological entities. Maybe they're here to grow a soul. How is that offensive? They're here on a planet with soul essence. They may not even be from a place where there's soul essence. And so the idea of compassion and empathy is so foreign to some of the humans that are walking amongst us. Yet they call themselves human. Well, they are human. But human, to just be human, isn't really a compliment, you dig? It's not really a compliment. We're like human. We're human at the moment, right? But what does it mean to be what we really are? Am I really Alex Ansary? Is that all I am? Not really seeing a whole lot of people in my dad's family or mom's family that are anything like me. or really supporting my work. So I was cast into a combination of genetics, oddly enough like you. Oddly enough like you. But what we do with this body and our intelligence is up to us. I want the soul essence level to be so great that when I pass through this planet, whether I'm murdered or through other means or natural causes, that I escape the confines of this reality, whatever you choose to call it, and I ascend to something better. And I'm here to dedicate my life to helping others in order to do that. It's not out of selfishness, it's out of compassion. And I'm open to the possibility that maybe in past lives I haven't been as compassionate and I've had to learn some hard-ass lessons. And here we are, learning some hard-ass lessons on a planet right now that's on the brink of global war, right? Let's go back to these caves here. Let's go back to these caves here. It's like, I'm remembering where those caves are, folks. I'm remembering where those caves... Have I told you that fighter jets fly over my tiny home? Did I tell you that there's like some sort of a flight path to where when they do go to war and stuff like that or whatever might go down, whether they're being targeted or they're leaving that place in Colorado, there's going to be a lot of activity above my home as well as in my neighborhood. So it's like, don't think that I moved to like a part of the continental divide of the United States to get away from it all. There's going to be tons of people rushing here. Okay, a lot of terrifying scenarios. There's already science fiction books being written about it or have been written. There's one author in the county that wrote a dystopian vision of the future. And the town having to protect itself. The town in which I live in. And yet, I interviewed Leon Lagan about his visions of China and Russia invading the United States, and a lot of people bypass that important video of mine while being drawn to more social commentary videos, thinking that that's the most important video that I've done. How do you know? I don't think that's a normal video that I did with Leon, those series of interviews. I think that it's coming to pass now. And it's not an easy time for me. I have to go beyond ego to even continue. It has to be for the greater good. Because when you look me up or hear people speak of me, they rarely let you know. He's one of the few people that has accurately predicted this and discussed and warned about China and Russia, both merging together on a military level and coming against the United States. It's been laughed at like something only a crazy person that hears voices would say. And here we are in 2018, 11 years after my first interview with Leon. And I was a young man then, and I still am. It's not common for people to see the writing on the wall and tell people in advance. And so I talk about that today by the waterfall because I stand in the very land in which I believe people are going to flee to in a matter of a few years. Nothing's changed in my opinion. That within several miles to several hundred miles, I'm within a radius in which many people are going to be fleeing. Coming to this area to get away from the West Coast. I've tried to help a lot of people. And I feel like in some ways, it's almost hurt me. It certainly hasn't helped the monetization on this channel. I certainly have thought a lot about China and AI, and being that I've talked about China's influence over YouTube, there may be a number of different reasons that we may not know. Why our view counts are being throttled, or why we've been demonetized based on things we've said. And elements of the matrix that's been, quote unquote, alerted to the things that we've been saying. I'm going to hold that thought. We take in a deep breath of that natural prana, because the primary meditation when you go into nature, which a lot of people forget and they move across the planet, is to heal oneself. To not only go beyond the need for other things outside of ourselves, but to be able to heal ourselves with the natural energy. Not to come and just... Some people like the natural energy because you can drink more and you can abuse your body more and then use nature to heal you and then go back out and do it again. Or maybe some people like nature because maybe it gets their libido going a little bit more, right? Something a little bit more simple where they just water. But to me, it's actually far deeper of a spiritual connection. It's a far deeper spiritual connection to live in places like off the grid, for example, that look like the land before time. I'm thinking in the past of Costilla County, or to live in the forest or to live in the trees, especially in the day and age of Facebook and the day and age of the strip mall. It's like going against the grain on a deeper level, especially when, you know, I might be popular to a handful of people. It's not popular to the average person. Oh, you live on your own land that you're going to own one day, but you don't have an XYZ. Oh, it's a tiny home, you know, and it's on the edge of town, up on a hill in the middle of nowhere. But it's like, it's about the sacrifices that we take as individuals in order to taste that freedom. That some people, even people with money, even people that live in these urban environments, or people on the West Coast, there are people that choose to live in those environments voluntarily. And those people, some people that think they're suffering in those environments, haven't yet experienced the horrors of homelessness. And something so extreme as not even having family to turn to, the point where you're actually pushed out of your homeland, the place in which you were born, in order to be forced somewhere else to be viewed as an outsider with suspicion. That's spiritual warfare. That's also a spiritual experience, to be delivered out of that, out of the pit of Portland, and to find myself looking through the pupil of a waterfall. Years later in Colorado, I feel that I've been rescued, but I also feel that I'm being tested on a whole new level in order to evolve. Because I am surviving in body, mind, and spirit and emotions. I'm surviving this experience. But now I want to evolve beyond this experience. And that's going to take more energy. So as I pull back from social media, I'm drawing closer to nature to tap into the realest energy that there is. Oh yeah, I like to think about meditation, taking deep breaths when I stand in particular moist spots like this that have a lot of color. I just have this whole, we have the waterfall over here. Right here we come to this spot, you know, with the giant rocks with the interesting marks on the side of them and formations. And then we have the path continuing downward as if we're like an ant. And we really are an ant in the grand scheme of things. That's why it's a little arrogant for people to think that we're the only ones that are here, and that we don't have our own predator. Humanity has a predator. Most of humanity doesn't recognize that. So there's something about visiting some of these natural areas that does, at least to me, bring about a sense of flash of insight, maybe a memory. It almost seems to be flirting with the idea of a memory of the land before time, but it's certainly something. Uh-oh, we got a multicultural tree over here. Alert, alert, alert the alt-right. We have a coexistence here of appearance on this tree here. It must not be natural. It must be a tree genocide. Red genocide. Just wanted to bring this to your attention. I saw it, I didn't identify it to be the norm, and identified it immediately to be something of alarm. So notify the proper bloggers. But we got to get on this mess. Before you know it, they're going to be bringing us burkas. And we can't have that. Look at that over there. Just let it all hang out. See, that's what happens when we don't have laws in this country. Overlooking this little, if you can even call that a path, I'm like in the land of the rocks, like something out of a never-ending story. The non-stop talking Alex, whoa. Yeah, I'm not even about to try to do all that with sandals, so. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. We're gonna continue on here through the land of the something. Ancient Anunnaki. We're gonna stumble upon some petroglyphs. This is what ate us. We had to leave immediately. They came from the sun. Let's go this way. They came from the sun. Ah, shit, those damn solar flares. Never know what's in them. You shall not pass. I think one of the things that I'm trying to demonstrate is that to some degree we are unlimited and we do create our own reality. It's not like The Secret. You don't get to have anything that you want. But we are here to create stuff that can change the world. Some people are here creating destructive things. So that's their choice, and there are consequences. The energy does come back to us, whatever we do in this matrix. You know, what I get to learn from this current experience of being demonetized, with the audience support that does come in, is realize this is my work. And even within the box of this is my work, where is my work posted? You know, owning that. You know, I own a domain. I'm actually going to be downsizing to 3 websites. I'm going to keep Solar Max News, Off Grid Co, now Ansary.tv, and let go of the other 2. And really start consolidating and centralizing the information on my website and the other website content where it needs to go. And surviving regardless. Because there's so many people out there acting like they're a victim when they're actually not doing too bad financially, numbers wise, and they're still monetized. So I can go on and on for hours about that, and one day I may actually go somewhere in a major city and do an all day 9-hour talk and plan for it. The first ever. Why just do it on YouTube live stream? Whether YouTube threw me under the bus. But actually do it somewhere. But my story is still being written. In a literal sense and metaphorical. And a lot of my story and life and what you're watching is the things that I survive. The things that I overcome. The things I have to deal with. Then there's the things I don't really talk about anymore on camera. I ultimately just want to show you a more positive, optimistic side of Alex Ansary. As we put up a shield as we reject the programming. We put up a mirror to protect ourselves. Put up a mirror. Put up a mirror to protect yourself as you go about this world. Okay, there's so many different things we can talk about. I'm also thinking about Blog Talk Radio. I don't know how many of you enjoy Blog Talk Radio, but I'm currently boycotting for myself. For myself, what you do is what you do. I'm personally boycotting consuming YouTube content. There may be a few channels that I like that I may take a peek at, but I'm basically going to step back from even listening to music or downloading anything and going to other tube sites. But stepping back from old habits, right? Trying to break into the new. Talked about the shift in new direction recently and the need to focus on writing. Let me give you kind of a look at this terrain here, how beautiful it is and how unique it is. Like this isn't really the trail. This is terrain that I'm able to walk over. And the rocks seem to have their own magnetism. So it's about spending time in nature and connecting with a different level of magnetism. I'm just going to sit here and just complete this thought. So you yourself are like walking to like catch a bus somewhere, a max, and there's a lot of negative energy going on around you. Perhaps someone bumps into you. Perhaps someone tries to push your buttons. And it could be overtly, or it could be something happening within your head that they're not actually covertly doing, but we can overlook something and be like, oh yeah, and come up with some reason to be upset, right? And to be in a negative state of consciousness. So we want to protect ourselves from being affected by the world. There's different meditations and ways you can get there. But right now we're just focusing on bringing in your own energy by connecting with nature, stepping back from that which is not you, like an avatar self of you. That could be social media addiction, and putting up a mirror and reflecting back a lot of this stuff. And there's a lot of that stuff we have to reflect back. They'll be like, oh, come back in the matrix. Oh, it's so lonely without you. Or, oh, you're so lonely without us. You know, you really have to bring in that strength and bring in that willpower. I don't agree with step 1, for example, of the 12-step programs of being powerless. I think that we actually have to tap into our power. And that's actually something that a lot of these urbanites, a lot of people have forgotten, including a lot of people in the country. My experience here is different than the experience that some others are having here. These rocks, by the way, though, in all my travels, there's something very distinguishing about them. And this is a much deeper departure into nature than some of the other trails. So for me, it's about putting up a mirror and reflecting back that which is not me, but also at the same time connecting my energy with beyond my physical area. So connecting with the trees, connecting with the cosmos, connecting with the center of the earth, the yin and the yang, clearing out our energy field. And it's like a shower, like regular spiritual maintenance, to clear out our head. And for me, it's a process. And, I'm just going to sit here in silence after I hit pause on this recording. It's a process when you step back from social media and digital addiction. I don't necessarily want to live in nature full time without any stimulus, but there's a time and a place for stepping back completely from the digital realm and then going back to it and having perhaps an added level of sharpness. I think this phase of mine, who knows how many years I'll be living here in this general area. I live about 50 miles from where I'm sitting right now. But there are periods in the past where I've been off the grid and gone back in the city and have created content. I've gone back off the grid and gone back into the city. And, I just know that it's important for me to be present in the current. Got to be right here hovering or something. It's important to be present in the moment. And there's a lot of ways in which a lot of people aren't, in which we're programmed to not be in the moment, to be stuck and bent over things that happened to people in the past, and to be freaked out about future scenarios. That doesn't mean that it isn't wise to be prepared. It is wise to be prepared, but there's balance. We can't let fear control us, and most people in our society do. Our society is fueled by it. The entities that run the civilization are fueled by fear. We're just about out of battery power, but I'm still going to be walking for another hour. But we are potentially in a new solar cycle. So the question is, not what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do now? We're in a new cycle. I've been talking about this constant theme of the shift and the internal shift within our own lives, gracefully moving forward. And then I ironically get to go through all this when I'm 38. I am 38. And I want to gracefully move into my 40s with healthier habits than I had in both my 20s and 30s. I think I've been blessed with a certain amount of good health to a certain degree. So this has been a time of pondering. We are moving into this new cycle, and it's cycles within cycles. So it's not about the end of the world, and it's not about the world being saved from itself and quote unquote ascending. There's so much more to it. The shifts, the micro shifts, not just between the solar cycles, but within the solar cycles, there's micro cycles. So we walk through the forest in a new cycle of time and space. We're so far outside the matrix, yet they're still tagged. Let the same not happen to us. This is a constant theme. This is a constant theme. You may not understand, but past viewers would know. We can't let that happen to us. And we have another little trail here. The road that leaves out. This is actually where I meant to go the whole time. The waterfall was an extra treat. This is, there may be falls here, but this is more or less a trail that I visited 2 years ago. So where I was before was all new. That was all me. I had not been there before. That was a good spot. This is another spot. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the magnetism of these rocks. Not like I have a little reader on my hand or anything, but there's something. Ah, we have another cave here. Okay. Things to remember in case the sky's on fire one day. Right there. Bring a little food, little propane cooker, hang out there for a few days, bring some good books. Yeah. And then it goes even deeper into the green there. Very, very emeraldish, emerald green, almost a mystical tone. No, I'm okay. Thank you. Okay. That was nice for her to offer to take my picture. But yeah, this is something that I want to capture. I'm glad I have enough battery juice, but barely.